Hello, Cancer, and welcome to your September 2017 reading. Um, I've shuffled and I've meditated on your sign, and I'm just going to jump right in. What I started doing is I've started reading animal card, like choosing an animal card, shuffling and drawing an animal card, and then reading it from the book. And because of all of your incredible, sweet, beautiful comments and likes and subscriptions, um, uh, you made it clear that through your sweet comments that you do like me reading from the book every now and then. So here we go. So for you, looking from this point at very end of August through the first couple of weeks of September, we have the Scorpion card. So Scorpion. The Scorpion is passionate, competitive, and tends toward isolation. The Scorpion is a passionate and determined creature. Their career is very important to them, as are a few select friends. Sometimes the Scorpion's heat festers and they focus on an unresolved event from the past, usually a situation where they were left feeling burned. The Scorpion card says it's time to come clean about your feelings so everyone can heal and you can get back to your usual fiery but fun self. When in balance, the Scorpion energy expresses itself as wild and free and fierce. And when out of balance, the Scorpion is jealous, resentful, and unresolved. And to bring into balance, honesty and forgiveness. So yeah, let's just keep this here as a sort of an overall umbrella energy, sort of a thematic energy as we dive into the rest of the reading. Yeah, the things that were coming up for me, and I took a couple notes when I was meditating on your sign, and do check out your rising sun or moon, if you have that in Cancer and sort of your other signs, whatever your rising sign and your moon sign, that can be really helpful as well, so check that out. But here are a couple things that came up for me. I got the sense that there was somewhere, that there's some area of your life, this is not for all of you, but for some of you I feel it's pretty pronounced, that there's some area of your life where you're making yourself small in some way, perhaps. So just sort of, maybe it's better to kind of approach it this way, to ask yourself that question. Am I making myself small in some area of my life? And if so, why? But I do get this feeling of just overall this feeling of like there's some area where you're sort of making yourself small. And also this is right in line with the Scorpion card, is the Hermit card. I saw the Hermit card come forward for you. And so this isolation that the Scorpion speaks of, that represents, it might be this you might be sort of in this time period where you're doing a lot of that internal work, sort of that internal investigation. Also, something I heard was interesting. Downsizing, and again, sort of that relates to this idea of small. Sort of that there's some area or there's something where you're. It's almost like this, and it could also, right in line with the Scorpion card, this downsizing. It's not a downsizing as much as it feels like being selective. There's this refining and this sort of selective energy. Being selective, it could be absolutely around social groups, so being selective with the people you're surrounding yourself with, but it could also sort of be being selective about where you put your time and energy. So sort of looking at those, it's almost being regimented is what I'm hearing, being regimented with something. Another thing is there is this feeling of sort of this grudge holding, which Scorpion, it reminds me so much of Cancer, sort of that crab, that hard shell on the outside, soft on the inside, crustacean. So I do feel like whatever this is, because it's so deeply connected to sort of the Cancer, the crab sort of archetype. I do feel like that there is this homecoming, this sort of coming back into your own energy again. And this has been, there's just something that's very, there's this settling, this settling into yourself in a new way. So we have a couple cards that popped out, the Tower reversed, and right next to it, the Emperor reversed. So there's a really interesting mirroring happening. There's this, I mean, very, very, very similar. So there's this reflection, and I do feel that there's, you know, we're in eclipse season right now, and we just had two eclipses, at a major solar eclipse in Leo, and then earlier in August we had a full moon lunar eclipse in Aquarius. So there's a lot of fire, and you know, Scorpion is a fire card, so it's this detoxification, you know, purifying time, this sort of purification. But I am sort of seeing for Cancers in particular here. So we have the Two of Cups reversed, right diagonal to the Emperor and the Tower. And they're right in the center of the spread, so I'm getting this sense that there's this, I just heard breakdown. So it sort of could be this momentary feeling of unraveling, or there's a sense of there's something that you're unraveling, and it could feel emotional. But with this unraveling, and I do get for many of you that this can also be connected to your relationships. You can also sort of see this selection process, this unraveling, this sort of, you know, taking a closer look at everything, and deciding sort of what you're going to let go of and then what you're going to move forward with. But I do feel like that there are some relationships that you're going to be releasing. And if you already have, it feels like you're going to be energetically releasing them over the next couple of weeks. And then the image that I'm getting here with this is like you plant something and then you pull it back up and you replant it somewhere else. So this there's this shifting, there's this it's like pulling something up, and then something about transportation, about moving something. So there's something about moving. So it's like this pulling up from the ground, uprooting, and then replanting it somewhere else. So for some reason, and it could be around work, it could be around, but it could be an actual move. It could be this feeling of going from one relationship to the next. But whatever it is, however it sort of shows up, there is this sense of uprooting and then rerooting. September, Cancer. Okay. So we have, this This is so interesting. So right at the base of your spread, we have the Three of Swords reversed. I mean, the Three of Swords horizontally. And then we have the World reversed. We have the Ace of Swords. And this feels like an energy that we're coming out of here. And then we have the Eight of Swords reversed. We have right next to the Hangman, which is so interesting because there's these this chrysalis, and with the Hermit and with the Scorpion, there is sort of that sense of self-protection that's coming up here. And right next to that, we have this feels more present energy here, the Ten of Swords, and then we have the Moon. And it's like lots of thoughts with this sword energy here in the present. There's like a lot of, there's this, it's almost like worries, or there's this, that inner critic. Then coming here into the future, we have, again, sort of we have this card it's right in sort of the area of the spread that I'm looking at. This is an energy that's continuing to carry through. So there is this there is this awareness of partnership and of a relationship. Sort of a heightened awareness of that. And then we have the Mother of Cups with the Four of Wands and the Seven of Swords. The Mother of Pentacles reversed. The Nine of Swords reversed. And then we have Justice. So this I'm getting there's something contractual. But here, let's go ahead. So this energy that we're moving out of, the World and the Ace of Swords, it feels as though there's something cyclical and karmic. And I just heard revisited. There's something that was revisited here recently, that's deeply connected to the cycles and rhythms that have been in place for, I'm hearing, a long time. And the tipper on this is, it's something about, it's really with this cycle and rhythm, it's with the sword we have this mental activity, but it's also, it's about choice. I'm hearing this thing about choosing. This rhythm, it's almost, there's something about sort of saying, there's something about the cycle or rhythm that you've chosen as, it's almost this form of protection, or this, this familiarity. I just heard crutch. And whatever this cycle, this pattern that you've recently revisited, or that it's or that you feel this ride you've been taken on, it's left you sort of in this present feeling that you need to, there's this immense protective energy, sort of this protect your heart, to protect yourself. So, and so it's like protect and reflect. So there is in this present energy. So there's this this cocooning that's coming up here, and I just heard sort of with this 10 as well, we have sort of this closeout, closing something out. And the Moon is going directly up towards the Emperor and the Tower reversed. And And again, there are a lot of trees, sort of this tree archetype in your spread of this idea of, again, this rerooting that's happening. And coming up here with the Mother of Cups, and then let's see here, the Four of Wands, and so there's something that, again, I'm hearing revisiting, that you're looking at again, that you're looking at more closely. So yeah, there's something that you're looking at really, really closely. And I'll just say that it's directly under the Two of Cups. So it's almost, maybe you're analyzing. It could be a relationship, a partnership, or it could be the very pattern itself. But there's something, it could be yourself, your relationship with yourself. But whatever it is, this feels much more broad. So it could also be a relationship. It could also be a project. But whatever this is it's something that you're looking at really closely. And there's this question of, how am I going to make it work? How am I going to make this happen? How am I going to make this work for myself? How am I going to get what I need? With the Pentacles, it's almost this question of need. It's sort of saying, this center point, sort of like, it's this making your way to this, to like your, in September, it's sort of like it's that discovering of like your balance. I'm also hearing you're measuring, like measuring. It's almost. I just saw like a scale, like a scale at a doctor, and sort of when you're trying to balance a scale, when you step on like one of those old scales, sort of that, like, what's my number? What's my worth? What's my and there's this connection between what you're putting out there and what you're creating, and sort of how it's being received. It's for some reason in a more heightened way over the next couple of weeks, sort of how you're being received. It's heightening your sensitivity to sort of how you're measuring your own worth. And this is actually kind of a theme for a couple of signs. I forget which sign specifically, but there is this this like sort of like, sensitivity to what others are thinking, more so than usual, and equating that directly with sort of what your worth is. And that even in itself can be the old pattern. But I do feel that this is a pattern that you're aware of, that you'd recognize. And sort of, how do you navigate your way through that? How do you balance? How do you find that balance? And there's this scrutinizing energy. It's almost like also this, what's kicking up here is this perfectionist energy. So that almost being oppressively like a perfectionist, to the point where it's almost like it's oppressive. Nitpicking. And I'm looking over here again at this relationship, the card of relationship, and it's so there's this nitpickiness either from your end in relation to your relationships, or you're feeling like, or perhaps you're on the receiving end of feeling like someone's nitpicking, being nitpicky with you. But it's almost sort of this scrutinizing of relationship. Both scrutinizing and feeling scrutinized, or feeling on the receiving end of that. So again, we're sort of coming back to this present moment of perhaps we're working with that energy of that desire to recoil, that desire to isolate, and to step back. I'm hearing to step back. And it feels as though that could be a really useful thing for you at this point in time. To take a wide lens perspective. A couple more cards here. Okay. We have the Father of Cups. We have the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Oopsies. Then we have the Father of Swords. And then the Son of Wands. So there's some sort of, it feels, it feels like a new, the image I'm getting sort of, especially looking at this colorful wand here, and with the Father of Swords and the Son of Wands, I feel like there's this, it's almost like this new venture, this new, the image is like Lancelot, like sort of getting on his horse and heading off to, for some mission. But it feels like this, like kind of this new, very noble venture or adventure. So it's this sense of this noble cause, is something that you're setting your sights on that's quite worth it. Again, there's this setting your sights. So there is sort of this setting your sights on something that's happening over the next couple of weeks. And it feels emotional. Not in a crazy way, but it could feel sort of like it's pulling you out of this place of, there's this simultaneous desire to open up, to break free from whatever this is, this sort of this chrysalis, to break out. And I do sort of see that continuing to happen. It's almost like there's all of these like little cracks, almost like an egg hatching. And that's happening. And it's because of whatever you set your sights on. It's sort of building this fire in you to go for it, But whatever present state you're experiencing right now over this first week of September, it is that breakout, that break free, that sort of break open energy, that defrosting of sort of the whatever shell it is. It's happening. It's happening, but it feels like it's almost it's almost like when you it doesn't feel quite comfortable. It's this letting go, this opening and letting go, this simultaneous opening and letting go, that you're, again, that navigation, that sort of that idea that you're navigating your way through. And it's almost a sensation I'm getting is that it feels prickly. That whatever sort of this allowing yourself to open to whatever this change and transformation is it feels prickly. And coming up, it's almost as though you're seeing the fulfillment of it. So you know what it's almost, it's like you know where you're going, you know what you want, but there's like this, if something is sort of quickening, it feels like you're sort of like, you know where you're going, you know what you want, and I don't need to I don't feel like I have to, in the same way I may have felt in the past. I don't feel the same rush to get there. I know where I'm going. I see what I want, but there's still a part of me that's kind of like happy with not extending myself, happy with sort of not completely opening up. So it's this gradual, and there is this sort of, again, I'm getting this image of this melting, this defrosting happening. So you're like, it's happening, and you're sort of allowing there to be some patience with whatever this process is for you. And it's you know ultimately what you want. You understand the essence of it. It's there. It's like there's that spark. You see it, but you're just sort of, there's sort of this honoring of the process that's happening, that you're really allowing yourself to sort of honor the process of this. So this looks strong. Yeah, I'd say, to stay really in tune with yourself and be conscious of perhaps if there are any patterns that are coming up that might be, there's this pattern that, we're looking at here that you're coming through. And then there's this softening that's happening, this opening up, this defrost, this, and it's happening because that fire, there's some sort of fire, there's sort of this inspired, I want that kind of energy that's coming up that is inspiring you to open up. So whatever that is that comes in that really inspires you to open up further, to open up more, even if it might feel a little prickly, definitely lean into it, because that's where you're heading. You're heading in that direction anyway. So embrace the transformation, embrace the process, and I feel like you are doing that. You're capable of doing that. You are doing that, and sort of allow this, whatever felt uprooted before, to reroot in the most organic way possible, and yeah. So I hope that this was really helpful, and please like, subscribe, comment, and I love you so much, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Do check out your rising and your moon sign, because that'll help out. These are just general readings, so it'll give you a bigger picture. All right, I love you. Have a beautiful, beautiful start to September. I love you so much.